Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji and Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Dandavats. Hare Krishna. Are you able to hear me, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhuji's.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Dandavats.
Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats. I didn't
Hare
want
Krishna,
to hear Mahesh Prabhu singing so beautifully, so I just waited for Prabhuji to conclude. Thank you for very beautiful Kirtan, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So let me make few devotees co-host. We'll start with the Mangalacharan prayers. Oh. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtapraeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapadakkamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jata Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Prabhuji, Mataji, welcome you all to today's discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam as part of the Bhakti Vaibhav session. So to start with, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, yes, Murthy.
I have a question, Prabhu, but
yes,
my throat is very bad at the moment. I mean, 2 minutes later, I'll ask you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have a question which I'll ask you slightly later.
Sure. Okay, Prabhuji, fine.
Because right now my throat is very bad.
Sure, Prabhuji. Take care. So today is a very, very special day. Today is a day of Shayani Ekadashi, which is also called as Ashadi Ekadashi. So as we had discussed few weeks back, when the Dindi Yatras for the darshan of Lord Vitthal started from different parts of the state of Maharashtra, and in which devotees from all over the world they participate. So today is the conclusion of that first part of Dindi, which happens in the just before the Ashadi Ekadashi, and this Ekadashi is significant because the Lord he goes to rest on this particular Ekadashi, and then Kartiki Ekadashi, which is another major Ekadashi, which comes in the month of Kartik. That is the day when the Lord he gets up from his rest. So it's a great fortune that we are getting an opportunity to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam on this day. And there is also one small announcement. Just yesterday, I have started a small treatment for dental calculus removal, and because of which let me know if you find any change in voice, because I just need to make sure that all of what I say is audible and clearly understandable. Otherwise, I can repeat.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It's clear, but little feeble than usual is what I
Okay.
feel.
Okay. Is it better if I hold the mic?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Okay, fine. So I'll hold the mic and let's get started. So we saw in this particular chapter how in the beginning few verses till text 11, Shukadev Goswami, he basically puts forth the superiority of the process of bhakti, of the process of devotional service over all other paths. And he very emphatically explains to Maharaj Parikshit that even if one happens to be a karmi or a yogi or a jnani, this process of devotional service is beneficial for all those classes of men. And even amongst the ninefold process of devotional service, specifically, Shukadev Goswami emphasizes on the path of chanting, Hari Kirtanam. So that as the most effective process for attaining the supreme perfection in one's life. And then he also gives the supporting evidences, including how various great personalities have corroborated to this fact, and many have transformed their lives, including his own self, Shukadev Goswami himself, who was earlier a Jnani, and he subsequently became attracted to the path of pure devotional service by hearing about the pastimes of the Lord.
Prabhu,
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
is my voice better, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is it understandable?
Yes, Prabhuji, I can understand.
Prabhu, with regard to stroke 35,
Mhm.
stroke 20,
20.
I 20, 20.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yes,
There are
Prabhuji.
two paragraphs, Prabhu. At the end of, towards the end of the first paragraph and the second paragraph, I have some questions.
Okay,
Just clarification, Prabhu.
sure, Prabhuji. Shall we read through that part so that the question is clear?
You can, I'll ask you to help me with the second paragraph, because that paragraph is, I need to understand that there is no clarity on that paragraph. The first clarification that I need is, Prabhu, the impersonalists, their idea of ultimate reality is Nirgun Brahmana. Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, yes, the impersonalists, they don't agree or conform to the personal form of the Lord. They more or
Yeah,
less.
so you can call it Nirgun Brahmana.
Yeah, yes, Prabhuji. So yes. So why I am specifically using the word Brahman is that is the impersonal feature of the Lord, the light emanating from the transcendental body of the Lord. Okay. So what is the question?
So their idea of ultimate reality is Nirgun Brahmana.
Yes. Basically, they consider the light emanating from the body of the Lord as the supreme. Their understanding of the supreme Lord is impersonal.
No, so Prabhu, I wanted to be clear. Our idea is it Sagun Brahmana?
See, our idea is
Nirgun Brahmana.
yeah. So we have this verse in the second chapter of first canto, which describes the transcendental realization at three levels: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So our understanding of the Supreme Lord is at the level of Bhagavan, as we consider the supreme personal form of the Lord as the topmost. That is
So
our.
at the level of Brahmana, Prabhu, I mean, are we in the Sagun category and are they in Nirgun category?
we are in the Sagun category, but not just at the Brahman level. We understand the supreme truth in his personal feature as Bhagavan. Okay, so that's why I'm not using the word Sagun Brahman, because Brahman is still a very preliminary understanding of the Supreme Lord. Devotees understand the Supreme Lord at the level of Bhagavan, as per the second chapter of Canto 1.
But in that preliminary stage, we are on the Sagun side and they are on the Nirgun side. Is that right?
We are not at the preliminary stage based on the teachings of our acharyas. Srila Prabhupada and other Gaudiya Vaishnava acharyas have taught us, even for the neophyte who has come to the bhakti for the first day itself, he is also engaged in the service of the personal feature of the Lord. So even he is not at the stage of Brahman realization, but directly engaged in the service of the personal feature of the Lord.
So are they impersonalists at the stage of only
Preliminary
Brahman?
understanding, correct.
Okay, okay, Prabhu, thank you. And the second clarification I need was the pantheism that the word which has come up. Is it akin to Krishna consciousness? Only difference being our idea of God there is Krishna, whereas theirs is their own definition.
1 second. Let me just exactly check the meaning of this word, English meaning. 1 second. Yeah, so just to be very sure, Prabhuji, to the second question, allow me to come back. I will come back to you. Okay?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji,
Krishna.
no, Mataji, please, can you hold? Because it has become a habit in the class that everybody interferes.
Yeah, yeah.
Prabhu,
So Mataji,
please,
I'll ask you to ask after Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, the last clarification is the second paragraph particularly.
Mhm.
I mean, I wanted to be clear about what is it that the impersonalists get into the material energy, which can be converted into by devotional service to absolute. That is what basically it says. That how does the impersonal get into material energy and what is this? Prabhu, I am not clear about this
1
second
second.
paragraph.
Let me read out the second paragraph. Pantheism, in its higher status, does not permit the student to form an impersonal conception of the absolute truth, but it extends the conception of absolute truth into the field of so-called material energy. Everything created by the material energy can be dovetailed with the absolute by an attitude of service, which is essential part of living energy. The pure devotee of the Lord knows the art of converting everything into its spiritual existence by this service attitude. And only in that devotional way can the theory of pantheism be perfected. So, for those personalities, and this theme is continued by Shukadev Goswami Prabhuji in the rest of the chapter 1, that for those those persons, specifically the materialists, who are not able to appreciate the personal form of the Lord very mercifully, this comes in text 38 that we are going to see as part of our discussion. Lord very mercifully, he basically authorizes imagination of his material form, which is the Virata Rupa, whereby those elements which a materialist can perceive and can appreciate, including the hills, including the trees, including the sun and the moon, even those can be perceived as the parts of the body of the Lord, as parts of the Virata Rupa. So in the gross analysis, these are all material energies. These are basically, though they are emanating from the Supreme Lord, these are the material energies, like mainly the superior and the inferior, as discussed in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. But through these material energies, a materialist is given a
Including the Virat Rupa, Prabhu.
sorry?
Including the Virat Rupa.
Including the Virata Rupa. Virata Rupa is also material form of the Lord. That has been stressed time and again. And that's why it exists only in the material world. There is no mention of existence of Virata Rupa in the spiritual world. And specifically, time and again, Shukadev Goswami stresses the fact this is mainly meant for even materialists to be able to approach the Lord, who are not on the platform of devotional service. Those materialists can also appreciate the presence of the Lord. Is this all right, Murthy Prabhuji?
Yeah, Prabhu, it clarifies a lot. Thank you very much. And lastly, Prabhu, last 2 weeks, I'm very grateful to you. I mean, there have been no exams, and because of that, I was able to put my devotional service back on track, Prabhu, which was badly affected because of incessant exams.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry to have
Thank
you
you very
stressed, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please
No,
take.
it's Prabhu, exams are fine, but the frequency of exams is, if it is too much, then it's a problem.
Sure.
Every
Prabhuji.
week we were writing one exam, Prabhu.
Sure.
That was, and the preparation took a lot of toll on my devotional service directly, Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhuji. Please take care. Hare Krishna. Maybe we'll have one last question by Prema Priya Mataji, and then we start with
Thank
the
you, Prabhu.
verses.
Prabhuji, it
Hare
was not a question. I
Hmm.
just wanted to, my understanding of pantheism was
Hmm.
seeing God everywhere.
Thank you.
That's
Mataji.
what I felt. I just wanted to add that as something.
Thank
My understanding. Am I right? Or am I?
See-
Like in everything you see, Lord. Animate, inanimate.
That's what the plain English definition says.
Yeah.
So we'll just stay with that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's
That's not
start
good.
with the verses. So now we discussed also in detail background to this particular section where the Virata Rupa form of the Lord is being described by Shukadev Goswami. We had a detailed discussion around 4 to 5 important causes. Why does Srimad Bhagavatam include the description of something which is not exactly on the platform of pure devotional service? And the main theme of those reasons was that these acharyas like Shukadev Goswami and the Supreme Lord himself, as we will find in text 38 of today's discussion, they are very merciful and they just don't want pure devotional service to be accessible to those who have taken to the path of bhakti. They want even those who are gross materialist or who have slightly developed interest in knowing the Lord, either through different processes of transcendental realization, including the karma yogis, the jnanis, and even the ashtanga yogis. Even for them, devotional service to be accessible by gradual elevation. And in order to enable that, we see all these descriptions for other paths of transcendental realization, which ultimately do conclude in the understanding of the personal feature of the Lord through the gradual elevation. That is also described by Shukadev Goswami. So I had mentioned about a flow chart last time. So we will go into discussing that and how does that flow chart fit in these verses. So basically this flow chart describes the different types of Ashtanga yogis, which are being described by Shukadev Goswami in the rest part of this particular chapter from text say 21 to 39 and also in the second chapter. So this particular understanding of the various types of Ashtanga yogis or various levels of Ashtanga yogis will help us understand the context why Shukadev Goswami is describing a particular process, say for example meditation on the Virata Rupa as rest of this particular chapter, which particular branch of Ashtanga Yoga it does cover, and what is the promotion to the next step for that Ashtanga Yogi if he wants to proceed in his realization of the Supreme. So let us go through the verses first, and then we come to this particular slide. So part of this discussion is bit technical. So please keep your attention level as good as you can. And still, if there are any portions not clear, please don't hesitate to ask second time, third time. We will try our level best to answer. Okay. And I do recollect there is one question by Shama Gopika Mataji, which Mataji had asked 2 weeks back in our discussion. We will try to touch upon that as well, but at the end. So let us try to recite the verses first. Anyone has any other pressing questions? If not, we start with the discussion. Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna. All right. Mangalamai Shri Prada Mataji, you want to recite?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 21 now. Yes, Yam Chandra Chandaryamānāyām yogino bhakti lakshanakam akshu sambatyate yoga ashrayam patram ikshatam. Translation. O King, by this system of remembrance and by being fixed in the habit of seeing the all good personal conception of the Lord, one can very soon attain devotional service of the Lord under his direct shelter.
Thank you. And highlighted part of the purport first.
Yes. Purport. Success of mystic performances is achieved only by the help of the devotional attitude, pantheism, or the system of feeling the presence of the Almighty everywhere. Is a sort of training of the mind to become accustomed to the devotional conception. And it is this devotional attitude of the mystic that makes possible the successful termination of such mystic attempts.
Thank you. Thank you.
One that is not okay.
We'll take a pause here.
Okay.
So here, this particular point of atheism is answered in Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is seeing the presence of Lord everywhere, specifically through his material energies, so that the materialists who are not able to appreciate the form of the Lord, they can also appreciate the presence of the Lord, starting with his material manifestations of material energy. And this particular focus of one's attention on meditation, one's meditation and remembrance on the Supreme Lord is what Shukadev Goswami mentioning as the ultimate path leading to devotional service. And even the other transcendentalists, specifically the discussion here is of the yogis, they also can achieve devotional service by meditating on the Lord, maybe starting with this very preliminary step of manifestations of material energy. We will come back to the slide after the purport. Yes, Mataji, please continue. Mangala Mai Mataji.
Sorry. One is not, however, elevated to such a successful status without the tinge of mysterious devotional service. In devotional service, the devotional service atmosphere created by such pantheistic vision develops into devotional service in later days, and that is the only benefit for the impersonalist. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 12.5 that the impersonal way of self-realization is more troublesome because it reaches the goal in an indirect way. Although the impersonalist also becomes obsessed with the personal feature of the Lord after a long time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So here, before we get into the details of the specific next verses which involve the various queries by Parikshit Maharaj on this first mention or first verse by Shukadev Goswami, explaining about the path that is adapted by the yogis. So who are the different types of Ashtanga yogis? We saw in our earlier discussion how there are 8 stages of Ashtanga yoga, which are given in all the scriptures, including Srimad Bhagavatam, including Bhagavad Gita. These involve yama, niyama, that is the do's and the don'ts, what needs to be done, what should be avoided. Asana, asana is the sitting posture, like we saw in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how one should sit on a very neat and clean place, which is covered by kusha grass, and that place should not be too high, it should not be too low. And then even while sitting in that particular place, one's posture should be erect, and one's eyes should be focusing on the tip of the nose. It should not be too closed, otherwise there is a danger of one falling asleep, or it should not be too open, so that there is a danger of one getting distracted in one's vision. So these are some of the asana practices. Then pranayam is nothing but the breathing exercises, how a yogi controls his or her breathing process, so that ultimately the control of the senses and the control of the mind is attained. And then pratyahar, which means withdrawing the mind from everything that is a distraction on the path of yoga practice, that is pratyahar. So all these first 5 stages of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam and pratyahar, that are common across the Ashtanga yogis. But then the categorization is done in terms of those yogis who are able to give up, or who are able to completely withdraw their mind from material desires. So they are directly categorized on the platform of dharana, where they can meditate on the Supreme Lord in the form of his Paramatma feature, in the form of his feature as super soul, in his expanded feature as super soul. Whereas those yogis who are still not able to give up the desire for enjoyment, they are recommended specifically by Shukadev Goswami to engage in meditating on the form of the Lord in the form of its manifestations of material energy. And we will see how that meditation on the Virata Rupa can be done even for a... So these are the yogis at a very, very preliminary level who, despite following all those 5 levels of Ashtanga yoga practice, they are not able to give up their mentality to enjoy in this material world. They are advised to meditate on the Virata Rupa. And after this meditation on the Virata Rupa, if the yogi is able to give up his enjoying mentality, then he can definitely be promoted again to the stage of dharana, which is meditation on the super soul feature, meditation on the Paramatma form of the Lord, and then subsequent steps of remaining 3 steps of the yoga practice, Ashtanga yoga practice, namely dhyana, samadhi, ultimately leading to their ultimate goal of liberation. It can be achieved. And so there are various such chakra yoga practices, including these are few technical terms: Mula Dhara, which is yoga at a very sorry, I'm not too familiar with this, so I don't want to speculate, but this is like meditating on the chakra at a very root level, and then one at a sacral level, solar plexus. So these are technical terms for the 7 chakras that exist within the body. And through this practice, the yogi can ultimately reach the platform of liberation. And typically, this liberation is in the impersonal level, unless that yogi proceeds from there through the attachment to devotional service, then he can proceed even from impersonal liberation to the personal liberation, which is in the Vaikuntha platform, or ultimately attain Golok also, if he progresses on the platform of devotional service. However, those yogis who are still at this particular stage of having desires for material enjoyment, they are still not able to give up the desire for material enjoyment, even after meditating on the universal form of the Lord, Virata Rupa. Then they are basically advised to follow the process of Krama Mukti. And Krama Mukti means step by step liberation, which means ultimately these yogis, the perfection of yoga, what they achieve in a literal sense, is ability to give up their body at the time, place, and circumstances of their choice. So a yogi will only give up his body when he feels that the circumstances are suitable for his promotion. So these yogis on the left hand side, they can also follow that particular path of giving up their body. First is the subtle body, and then first is the gross body, and then the subtle body in the form of one by one the underlying material elements, including the earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So these one by one giving up of the layers of material elements, ultimately they achieve liberation or perfection in their attempt. So these are some of the technical terms. Don't get bogged down by it. This chart will be available to you, but this is based on the descriptions of our predecessor acharyas on the classification of the Ashtanga yogis. So now, first, is there any question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have a doubt. The desire from Pratyahara, it's coming to the, if they have some desire. See, from Pratyahara, they are the yogis are trying to get the Ashtasiddhis. Is that their desires, or both group, as you mentioned here, both group getting the Ashtasiddhis?
See,
or
yeah, so two things which every single yogi has, he gets basically. One is the 8 mystic powers, and second is the ability to give up his or her body at the desired time, place, and circumstances. So whether it is on the right hand side or on the left hand side, these two achievements are there as a very default byproduct of yoga practice. So
okay, so
yeah.
So the liberation means end of these process. This as you mentioned in that this one, their liberation is on in Brahma or Brahman or
Brahman, correct.
Both. You mean both categories?
See, yeah. So especially for the right path is the path of, you can say, promotion or what you can say, expedition of their final level of achieving Brahman platform is through this right hand side process. Whereas the left hand side process, I have not specifically mentioned that they will achieve Brahman liberation. I only in my discussion mentioned that ultimately they will also achieve the stage of Brahman liberation, but through many different intermediate stages. Okay, so
okay.
So
Yes.
right hand side path is the direct path for a Ashtanga yogi to achieve liberation, whereas the left hand side path is an indirect and a longer path. That's why it is called as Kramasha. Kramasha means step by step, one by one.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So one more thing, hang on now. Yeah, so can we think of any yogi having material desires? There are various examples, but say for example, Vishwamitra, he was an accomplished yogi, but he also fell for the material desires. Not only that, even the various advanced devatas, like who was that particular Gautama Muni? It was a Gautama Rishi only, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, whose wife Indra had got attracted to. Anybody recollects that? What is her name? Ahalya. Yeah. So we see that Indra, he also assumed a form quite similar to that yogi. And it is explained that Ahalya, through her feminine tendencies, could understand that this person is not my husband, but somebody else. But because she was also attracted, she didn't resist and she got punished later on. Indra also got punished. So here we see this particular personality is having mystic siddhis, but material desires are still not gone. And of course, we should not look down upon them. all these personalities are ultimately great personalities. Vishwamitra, subsequently, he became spiritual master of Lord Ramachandra, but we are just checking his past life from the perspective of understanding how even a yogi can have material desires. And similarly, we saw the example of Indra. But after this initial level, preliminary level of meditation on the Virata Rupa, the yogi is again required to qualify if he is able to give up those desires for material enjoyment. And if he can, then he can proceed to the meditation on the Paramatma form and then achieve his supreme goal, which is impersonal liberation as an early stage of achievement. But those yogis who are not able to give that up, they would take very long to ultimately reach that particular stage. And all these upper planetary systems, especially Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka, all I have not stated here. I have only stated a few. All these include various great accomplished yogis who also, so they are also meditating on the Supreme Lord, and they also have an opportunity to progress from that stage to spiritual world. Like especially it is mentioned, the residents of the Brahmaloka planet, or even for that, one by one, all these planets, upper four, Janaloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. Even when the partial destruction, partial annihilation of this cosmic manifestation happens, till the time Brahma's last time, like his end of his life is not reached, these four upper planetary system, they are not part of that universal annihilation. They still go to the higher planets, like Janaloka residents will go to Tapaloka, Maharloka, then Maharloka residents will go to Tapaloka, Tapaloka residents will subsequently go to Brahmaloka, but they are all saved during the universal annihilation. But all the planetary systems below that, they get annihilated or destroyed whenever there is inundation or annihilation of the cosmic manifestation. But when the end of the lifetime of Brahma is reached, if these people are sincere in their practice, then they, along with our Lord Brahma, who thankfully happens to be a pure devotee of the Lord, so they can also go back to Godhead. So this is for the yogis who are on the expedited path of achieving perfection and who are following an indirect path of achieving perfection. Greatness is that why they are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, because ultimately all of them are achieving the perfection of life, which is the supreme planet. Now, as you just heard, Brahmaloka and some of the planetary system just below it, advanced personalities stay, but they are also not completely perfect. Similarly, I was very surprised to hear that even there are certain personalities who are on the platform of being liberated souls, but not exactly still a pure devotee of the Lord, even in the places like Vaikuntha. And we will see it in the subsequent slides. So don't get too curious. We will discuss about it when the specific slide comes. But what Shukadev Goswami is going to describe in the remainder of this particular chapter is specifically the path on the left hand side, and within that particular path, what he is going to focus on is meditation on the form of the Lord, which is Virata Rupa, which is universal form of the Lord. And there he will also describe about the description of the universal form, what are various limbs or parts of the body of the Lord. Is it too technical? Prabhuji's, Mataji's, apologies if it is, but try to understand it based on the best of our intellectual capacity, and we will also take shelter.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Mataji. Hare
on the
Krishna.
left hand side, the last one changes form from earthy, watery. Then it's mentioned earthy, watery, fiery, airy, ethery. That I couldn't understand.
So that is basically after, let me change the terminology. It should be gives up.
These are the Panchabhutas, isn't it, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So the form of Panchabhuta doesn't exist anymore. That is what you identify.
Sorry, last part you repeat?
The form of the Panchabhutas at the time of the highest vibration does not exist anymore.
So basically a yogi, after he or she gives up the gross material body at the time of his choice, then subsequently the subtle body, which is consisting of mind, intelligence and false ego, that also he gives up one by one at the level of material elements, underlying material elements, before he proceeds to the subsequent higher destination. Okay, so for you,
but they are not material, Prabhuji. Mind, intelligence and false ego.
They are subtle material body only. Gross material body is our sthula sharir, what we can perceive, and subtle material body is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay,
that is correct. Because this also has a beginning and an end. Mind, intelligence, and ego has a beginning and an end. That's why it is called
and these remain with us as we transmigrate from one body to another until we achieve spiritual world. When we are about to go to spiritual world, along with giving up of the gross body, we also give up our material mind, material intelligence and false ego, and we do get a spiritual subtle body, which is our true ego of being the servant of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so this Word document also I will share with you, and maybe I will make some changes based on changes what I have just made to the flow chart in the slide also. Can we proceed to the verse, Prabhuji's Mataji? So what the flow chart described is the path undertaken by the typical Ashtanga yogis, which again we saw three categories. One category who after the first 5 stages of Ashtanga yoga practice, they are able to give up their material desires and their path of achieving impersonal liberation is expedited. Expedited means it is a quick fix, quick achievement. But those who cannot give up their material desires, first they are advised to meditate on Virata Rupa. If they get rid of material desires, it is fine. If not, then they are also routed towards the process of liberation, but kramashah, step by step, one by one. And the flowchart might look of similar length, but overall the process time taken is very, very long for the left-hand side yogis compared to the right-hand side. Anyone has any questions, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? If not, hold on till the time we cover the verses and again we can revisit the questions if anyone has. Is that all right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. One second, I'm just checking whether to take the next slide first or the verse first. Yeah. So even let me cover the next slide, which is the type of mixed devotional service. So we see Shukadev Goswami and Srimad Bhagavatam mentioning in text number 21 that how even these yogis on their path of achieving perfection in Ashtanga Yoga, they also need to attain some part of pure devotional service attitude, devotional attitude. Sorry, Srila Prabhupada uses the word devotional attitude. Only then they can reach ultimate perfection. So here the scriptures, they describe the process of devotional service in various layers. So pure devotional service is the topmost, but then mixed devotional service, this term we have heard in Bhakti Rasamrut Sindhu, Rupa Goswami explains that mixed devotional service in very simple terms, whether in that mixture bhakti is prominent and other enjoying mentality is less prominent, then that particular mixed devotional service is called as Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, and in which bhakti is prominent and other paths where the person is attached to in some way or other for his own satisfaction. I don't want to call it material enjoyment, but to his own satisfaction. That particular process of devotional service is called as Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. A simple way to understand this, say for example, the categorization. You don't get confused between Karma Mishra Bhakti and Bhakti Mishra Karma. So wherever the term is together with Mishra, that carries the lesser prominence in that mixture. So Karma Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is prominent, but there is some portion of attachment to one's activities. So that is called as Karma Mishra Bhakti, where Bhakti is prominent, Karma is less prominent. Similarly, Jnana Mishra Bhakti, Bhakti is prominent, Jnana is less prominent. And Yoga Mishra Bhakti, where Bhakti is prominent and Yoga, the desire for yogic mystic siddhis, it is less prominent. But these are still all mixed devotional service. And wherever possible, I've tried to give examples either of the verses or those personalities who fall under these categories. Like for Jnani, we already earlier saw the example of 4 Kumaras. We saw the example of Shukadev Goswami. But all these did become pure devotees subsequently. They did not remain on that particular platform. So don't consider them at that level eternally. At one particular point in time, they were at this particular platform. Similarly, for the Karma Mishra Bhakta, let me try and think of an example. Can we think of a Karma Mishra Bhakta, Prabhuji's
Janak Maharaj. Janak Maharaj.
Yeah, can you elaborate slightly?
Janak Maharaj was known to be a king, right? And then he was a great king who had concentrated all his thoughts of the Lord through the activities he performed as a king. Yeah? So that's why even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions his name, that like Janaka Maharaj, we should be able to do, he's asking Arjuna to follow the path of Janak Maharaj, which is to give whatever activities you do in the name of him. Yeah?
Thank you,
for the Hita Kamaya, for the good of everyone in the society. That is what he has mentioned.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So
Janak Maharaj was involved in the Nishkam karma, and he was doing karma only for the sake of giving an example to the public at large.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. So what I was saying, yeah, don't get confused by hearing the name of these great personalities. Either it is 4 Kumaras or Maharaj Janaka. None of them are ordinary personalities. In fact, they are part of the Mahajana list. Okay, so it is not that persons who are on the Mahajana list, they are like Mahajanas right from their birth, but they have perfected their lives in pure devotional service from these various platforms which we are trying to learn and appreciate. Okay, 4 Kumaras we discussed. Yoga Mishra Bhakti, can we consider any example of a personality who was a devotee but still attached to the yoga practices to some level? Anyone? I am also trying to think as I ask you.
I was thinking about Parashara Muni, who was the father of
Vyasadeva. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He knew the mystic powers, but at the same time he was a devotee.
Great devotee of the Lord.
Yes, because he, by his mind, recognized that while on a boat, that it was an auspicious time for the birth of the Lord to come in, and that is how Vedavyasa Maharaj was born. Yeah? Because at that particular time he had only had Satyavati with him, so he gave her all the possible boons possible mystically, and then Vedavyas was born, and he took care of him, his education and upbringing and everything. Yeah?
Thank you, Prabhuji. So this particular Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti is prominent, and other aspects including karma, jnana and yoga, they are less prominent. They are compared to bhakti involved in less proportion. Guni Bhuta Bhakti, where karma, jnana, and yoga are more in proportion compared to bhakti. It is still a mixture of these three components and bhakti. So first is the karma yoga that we see in Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, 4, 5 and Nishkama karma yoga as well. So don't get confused that Nishkama karma yoga, according to what we read in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself is advising Arjuna to engage in that. But still, when we really compare the different stages of bhakti, it is to level down the pure devotional service. And what is the difference between Nishkama Karma Yoga versus Karma Mishra Bhakti versus the process of pure devotional service? So first we will see what is Nishkama Karma Yoga. Nishkama Karma Yoga means we are attached to performing the duty, but the results of that particular activity, not just performing the duty, performing the prescribed duty. So why do we want to use the word prescribed duty? Because there are so many activities which in our day-to-day course of action, we may be performing, which is not exactly prescribed, which is not exactly given to us based on the varnashram level of that particular person. So person is dedicated or attached to performing the prescribed duties, but the results are given to Lord Krishna. That is chapter 3, 4, 5 or Nishkama Karma Yoga. What is Karma Mishra Bhakti? That means person not just for his prescribed duties, but each and every activity that he or she is doing, one is dedicatedly devoting the results to the benefit of the Supreme Lord. That is Karma Mishra Bhakti. But then you might say, why it is not pure devotional service? Because the attachment to performing those activities, it is still there. It is not gone. But pure devotional service, that means the person is not attached to performing any activity other than the desires, fulfilling the desires of the Supreme Lord, like a pure devotee. And we will try to think of some examples for this. That, one second. One second. Yeah, so person is not attached to any of his conceptions as far as performing his activity are concerned. He is only performing his activity for the sole purpose of satisfying the Supreme Lord. I remembered one example. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the story of Maharaj Priyavrat, we see that Maharaj Priyavrat is one of the Prajapatis, one of the progenitors. From Lord Krishna, Lord Brahma is coming. From Lord Brahma, his first set of sons, including Swayambhuva Manu and all. And immediately the next generation to the Swayambhuva Manu, they are also progenitors. We see Maharaj Uttanapat and Maharaj Priyavrat. And Bhagavatam, first of all, describes the progeny of Maharaj Uttanapat, including Dhruva Maharaja's story, so on and so forth. And all this while, when Uttanapat Maharaj got into family life, and then Dhruva Maharaj was born, and subsequent life proceeded where Dhruva Maharaj was insulted by his stepmother, ultimately achieved Vishnu, and subsequently did become the king of the whole earth. But Priyavrat Maharaj, he was interested in dedicating his life as a renunciate, as a celibate. But subsequently, for the progenation, for the service of progenation, we see that there was a slight disagreement. Swayambhuva Manu wanted his other son, Maharaj Priyavrat, to also get into family life and help him manage the universal affairs, mainly because Swayambhuva Manu wanted to retire from the day-to-day management of the universal affairs. So he asked Priyavrat Maharaj, his own son, to accept the household path of life. But at the same time, Priyavrat Maharaj was being counseled and guided by Narada Muni, who, being an eternal practitioner of devotional service, by following the path of Brahmacharya ashram, he was guiding Priyavrat Maharaj to continue with his austerities, meditation as a celibate devotee and perfect his life. And both these personalities, they are not ordinary personalities. Narad Muni is a Mahajan, and so Manu is also a Mahajan. So there are various Manus, 14 Manus in a day of Brahma. We are talking about Swayambhuva Manu, a very first one. And there arose a discrepancy for Maharaj Priyavrat, whom to follow, whether to follow his own father, who was asking him to get into family life, or to follow Narada Muni, who is again a Mahan Acharya, who was asking him to continue his path of being a celibate devotee. And then subsequently, Lord himself, he descends to solve this particular disagreement. And he does guide all three of these personalities, Swayambhuva Manu, Narada Muni, and Maharaj Priyavrat, and basically explains to Maharaj Priyavrat the reasoning behind Swayambhuva Manu's request, and subsequently give his verdict for Priyavrat Maharaj to accept. Lord doesn't come, Lord Brahma comes, who is the father of both Narada Muni as well as Swayambhuva Manu. And Brahma basically gives the reasoning to Maharaj Priyavrat, makes him take up the path of householder life. And Bhagavatam mentions that how all these three great personalities, including Narada Muni, Swayambhuva Manu, as well as Priyavrat Maharaj, none of them have any dissension towards Narada Muni. Like especially neither Narada Muni nor Priyavrat Maharaj had that dissension towards Brahmaji, that Priyavrat Maharaj did not think that I am not an ordinary brahmachari. I have been a brahmachari since thousands and probably lakhs of years, and now Brahmaji is asking me to get into family life just because my father asked me. Or Narada Muni did not say that I have previously guided thousands and thousands of personalities to perfect their lives, including the sons of Daksha, the Haryashvas and the Bahulashvas. So they were also guided to perfection in their particular path of perfection by Narada Muni, asking them to follow the path of Brahmacharya. So Narada Muni was equally obedient and accepting to the verdict of Brahma and even Priyavrat Maharaj. And Bhagavatam mentions that this is particularly the maturity of devotional service. That person may have his own conception, but without any reservation, without any dissension, a person like Priyavrat Maharaj immediately agreed to follow the supreme authority, Lord Brahma, for this particular universe. So this is an example of a Karma Mishra, this is the example of not Karma Mishra Bhakti, but pure devotional service, where the whole path of activities was completely changed. 180 degrees turn was taken by the devotee just based on the devotional authorities, just based on the verdict of the devotional authorities, specifically Lord Brahma. So whenever time permits, this is a very beautiful history of the life of Maharaj Priyavrat. You can read in the first chapter, Canto 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the example of pure. So we saw Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga, one level above that, Karma Mishra Bhakti, and one level above that, pure devotional service, and the difference between all these three. Any query, question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, Hare Krishna? So this should be easier to understand compared to the last slide, which was not our forte, which was not our core area of study, but this should be better understandable. Anyone has any queries, questions? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, so Karma Mishra Bhakti, you're saying King Priyavrat Charitra, basically.
No, I said Priyavrat Maharaj as pure devotional service. That
Pure
it-
devotional service.
basically he was attached to achieving perfection by being a celibate, but he changed that complete path of action based on the instruction and final verdict given by Lord Brahma, who was the superior authority to both Manu and Narada Muni. Is that all right, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. And the example, maybe I think we discussed Karma Mishra Bhakti like Janak Maharaj,
Janak
Janak,
Maharaj,
and
correct, correct.
Gyan Mishra, I think it is written for Kumaras.
Kumaras.
Yog Mishra Bhakti, Prabhuji, what was the example? Sorry,
Let me think. Hang on. Where Bhakti is prominent, but yoga is less prominent. I'm trying to think.
Prabhuji, you said Vishwamitra.
Vishwamitra example I gave. So Vishwamitra, there are two parts of his life. One part is where he was driven by the material desire of achieving yogic perfection because of competitive mentality, because of the conflict he had with Vasishta. Okay, so that was one portion. But the second part of Vishwamitra's life is glorious, where he was a great devotee of the Lord. And when he took Lord Ramachandra and Lakshmanji from Maharaj Dasharath in the name of getting protection for himself and other rishis from the various demons. So that level was totally different. So I don't want to categorize him as Yoga Mishra Bhakta, because
Where do you place Ambarish Maharaj, Prabhuji?
let me think. I will come back on this, Mataji. I don't want to confirm. Okay. But those examples which I'm sure remembering, say, for example, let me also give you the example of a Nishkama Karma Yoga or Karma Yoga level devotee. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was traveling to South India Yatra, in the place Kurma Kshetra, where he met Kurma Brahmana residing there, Kurma Brahmana did express desire to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to join him in his South India Yatra. What did it mean? It simply meant Kurma Brahmana asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's permission to give up his family life and also become like sort of assistant sannyasi or something, where he also renounces the family life and become a full-time practitioner and travels as an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But it is explained Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not agree. He asked Kurma Brahmana to reside in his home and practice the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, being a householder, and thus perfect his life. So don't think that Nishkama Karma Yoga level Bhakta, he won't go back to Godhead. Definitely he will go back to Godhead. That's why Krishna is engaging them. But these examples are just for our understanding that why did Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not agree for Kurma Brahmana to accept the path of renunciation. On the other hand, let me tell somebody else in contrast who expressed similar desire. On the contrary, you take the example of somebody like Raghunath Das Goswami, who was the son of a billionaire based on today's standards. He was also expressive of his desire to accept renounced order of life. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what was the example he gave? He did mention one analogy to Raghunath Das Goswami, basically implying that he should continue to stay in home and manage the household responsibilities, especially manage the monetary affairs of his father and uncle. And when the right time comes, he will grant him permission to be a full-time devotee, to be a renunciate. So it is explained in the commentary of the Acharyas that Raghunath Das Goswami, he was perfect in his renunciation, and that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not insist for him to continue in the householder life. Whereas for the Kurma Brahmana, his renunciation was not exactly on that level of maturity. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu still guided him to perfection, but did not allow him to accept the renounced order of life. He asked him to continue in his household life and responsibilities, and from there achieve path of perfection. So this is one example of Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga, where the Lord asked his devotee based on his level of maturity of devotional service to be situated at a particular path, and being situated there, then practice devotional service. Is it clear, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Is it confusing? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's, Mataji. So I am not giving you examples.
It is a bit confused.
Yes, Prabhuji. So
confusing, Prabhuji, but as we go along, I think the cloud will clear.
Yeah. So basically very simple. The conclusion of this is there are devotees at various stages of devotional service. They still remain great souls. It is not that they are any lesser than what we revere them to be. They still remain at a very exalted platform. But at the same time, based on their level of maturity of devotional service, their level of renunciation, Krishna advised them certain type of practice. Like we saw very varying example of Priyavrat Maharaj being asked to move from brahmachari life into grahastha life. We saw the example of Kurma Brahmana who was asked to continue in grahastha life. We saw the example of Raghunath Das Goswami who was given permission to move from householder life, grahastha life into fully a life of full renunciation as a sannyasi. So we saw all these examples based on the specific assessment of their level of renunciation, their level of maturity by either the Supreme Lord or his representatives like Lord Brahma. So I have given examples of Karma Mishra Bhakta, Jnana Mishra Bhakta. I have not given about Yoga Mishra Bhakta. I still need to think. I have also given example of Karma Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga, the Kurma Brahmana. Any questions, queries, Prabhuji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Question is from this slide. I think what I am trying to see that if yoga is written along with Gyan, it's basically the yoga is prominent, Gyan is secondary.
Yeah. Which line you are reading?
No, I'm saying the three, like in the below portion, Guni, Bhuta,
okay.
Bhakti. So it is saying Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. So it says yoga is primary and whatever is written is secondary. Maybe I think, sorry, Bhakti is secondary.
Bhakti is secondary.
But I'm trying to see the chapter 6 to 12 of Bhagavad Gita. They talk about 7 to 12. They talk about Bhakti Yoga. So does that mean yoga is primary, Bhakti is secondary in the Bhakti Yoga as a word itself?
You don't see the reference of chapter 7 to 12 in this third box. You only see the reference of chapter 7 to 12 in the Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti. Okay, where Bhakti is prominent. And other practices, including karma, jnana, or yoga, it is less prominent. So you only see reference of middle portion of Bhagavad Gita here. And that to those chapters which are coming before pure devotional service, before chapter 12. Is that all right, Mahesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so Bhakti is definitely prominent here. And that's why you see all these Bhakti Yoga related chapters showing up here. Chapter 7, 8, 9. But 12th chapter is ultimately pure devotional service, Bhakti Yoga itself. Is it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, yes.
Okay. Whereas for the Guna Bhuta Bhakti, you see references to chapters earlier on, which are part of Karma Yoga, which is below the process of devotional service or Bhakti Yoga. So where Bhakti is less prominent compared to other portions, Karma, Jnana, and Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, let's use the word. Is that all right, Mahesh Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Just trying to see where I am.
No. So see, for us, very simple. We don't want to get too confused about these stages. Even if we are fools, we want to be a fool who is obedient to Srila Prabhupada, who is obedient to our Guru Maharaj. Then our perfection is more or less assured if we follow their instructions.
I was trying to relate, Prabhuji, just maybe to, for example, many people, they just want to do some service in temple, for example. And all are doing bhakti in some or the other form.
Correct.
But many people, they just want to go to temple, do some various services, could be cooking assistance, cooking service, many other services, which are related to some karma. But ultimately, they are doing it for the Lord, it becomes bhakti. Whereas
Correct.
maybe Gyan Yoga, basically, maybe we chose this path. For example, we will do this course. We want to do a systematic study of, let's say, Bhagavatam and the whole, course. So I think maybe this time what we are doing here, studying, we are not spending time doing active service as such, no karma basically, for the Lord. But it is basically hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So through the Gyan Yoga, basically, I don't know, is it Gyan Yoga, whatever we are doing in some sense?
Just one point I would add, if we are doing the same activity, say Bhakti Vaibhav course, based on the desire of our founder Acharya, that Srila Prabhupada has asked us to systematically study his books and qualify our understanding of his books through these courses. If our motivation is that, then definitely it is nothing less than pure devotional service. Because whether we understand it 10%, 20% is immaterial. The motivation, if it is fulfilling the order of our founder Acharya, who is a pure devotee of the Lord, we can't categorize it anything less than pure devotional service. If the motivation is to become a Pandita, to be attached to the degree, for any XYZ reason, then it is less than that for sure.
Understood. Okay.
Similarly, even those devotees who are coming to the temple are very fresh and not yet fully practicing the do's and don'ts of devotional service, but they are engaged in services like sabji cutting, for example. If the motivation is because such and such devotee has told me and I want to please him or I want to be obedient to him and thus serve Lord Jagannath, then definitely that is also pure devotional service, even if the person is not on the level of pure devotional service. If the motivation is right, even that activity in an impure state will be bearing full results, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And one last example we will give. One time when Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they were one time sitting with Srila Prabhupada, one of the very senior devotees in our movement, Srila Prabhupada's dear disciple, His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he asked Srila Prabhupada that Prabhupada, one second, Prabhuji's Mataji. Prabhupada, what type of qualification did we have that we got this benefit of devotional service, engagement in devotional service? And Srila Prabhupada gave a very emphatic answer. He said, you had no qualifications. I gave you the qualifications. Means these persons earlier on who were engaged to so many different types of sinful activities and breaking the regulatory principles and all that, it is the obedience to the instruction of the pure devotee of the Lord which gave them qualifications, and because of which they reached perfectional stage in a very short span of time, despite coming from so many different varied sinful backgrounds. So point is, all these stages can be transcended provided one sincerely takes the shelter of fulfilling the instructions of a pure devotee of the Lord, even if we are much below Guna, Bhuta, all other levels, still we can achieve pure devotional service if you follow this simple process. Is that all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
So shall we proceed? We have, oh Krishna, 11:30. So I had planned to cover all the remaining verses. So let us quickly go through them. So now Shukadev Goswami, after he has begun this discussion on the path of Ashtanga Yoga practice, especially we saw the reason why he has begun, because he doesn't want Bhakti Yoga to be accessible only to the devotees. He wants Bhakti Yoga to be accessible to all classes of transcendentalists and even people below them, pure karmis, pure materialist. So after he begins this discussion, Parikshit Maharaj, he asked Shukadev Goswami a set of 3 questions. So let's go through the verse first. Okay, let me see. Who wants to recite? Murli Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you want to recite, Prabhuji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare.
I'll recite.
Yeah.
Raja Uvacha
Raja Uvacha
Rajovacha.
Yatha Sandhyate Brahman
Yatha
Yatha sandharyate brahma
Dharana Yatra Sammata
dharana yatra sammata
Yadrushiva Hare Dashu
yadrishiva haridashu
Purushasya Manomalam.
purushasya manomalam.
Translation?
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The fortunate King Parikshit, inquiring further, said, O Brahman, please describe in full detail how and where the mind has to be applied, how the conception can be fixed, so that the dirty things in a person's mind can be removed.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So basically, Parikshit Maharaj is asking Shukadev Goswami 3 questions for a Ashtanga Yogi practitioner. First is, what should be his or her object of meditation, and how exactly dharana shraya, how exactly the process of dharana has to be accomplished, and how to remove the contaminations from mind which arise mainly from the lower modes of material nature, rajas, tamas. So these 3 questions Parikshit Maharaj asked. Now in the interest of time, we will only see the highlighted portion, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. Murli Prabhu, read the highlighted part.
Yeah. Thus persons who are unable to pin their faith on the personal feature of the Absolute are given a chance to associate with Virata Rupa, the cosmic impersonal feature of the Lord. The cosmic impersonal feature of the Lord is a feature of his unlimited potencies. Since the potent and the potencies are identical, even the conception of his impersonal cosmic feature helps the conditional soul to associate with the Lord indirectly and thus gradually rise to the stage of personal contact. Want to say something, Prabhu, or shall I continue?
Yeah, please continue.
Maharaj Parikshit was already directly connected with the personal feature of Lord Sri Krishna, and as such, he had no need to inquire from Sukadeva Goswami about where and how to apply the mind in the impersonal Virata Rupa of the Lord. But he inquired after a detailed description of the matter for the benefit of others, who are unable to conceive of the transcendental personal feature of the Lord as a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. This is Satchitananda, isn't it, Prabhuji?
Yes.
The non-devotees class of men cannot think of a personal feature of the Lord. I go to the last part.
Yeah.
So, for the benefit of men who are unable to accept the Lord in his personal eternal form, Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami how to fix the mind on him in the beginning, and the Goswami replied in detail as
Thank you, Prabhuji Maharaj. So here we see that both Shukadev Goswami as well as Maharaj Parikshit are touching upon this particular subject of Ashtanga Yoga just to benefit even this class of people who are not able to meditate on the absolute truth in his personal form. So Shukadev Goswami is mentioning the detail of the process, and Parikshit Maharaj is asking relevant questions. So we will see what is the answer by Shukadev Goswami to this specific set of questions that are posed by Maharaj Parikshit. Text 23. Shama Gopika Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Dandas Mataji.
Text 23. Shri Shuka Uvacha.
Shri Shuka Uvacha.
जितासनोचितश्वासो
Sasanojita
जितसङ्गो जितेन्द्रियः
संगो जितेन्द्रियः
स्थूले भगवतो रूपे
स्थूले भगवतो रूपे
मनः सन्धारयेत् धिया Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Shukadeva Goswami answered, one should control the sitting posture, regulate the breathing process by the yogic pranayama, and thus control the mind and senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord, called the Virat Rupa.
Thank you.
Purport.
We'll take a pause. We'll take a pause.
Okay.
So if we go back to the slide, and what is Parikshit Maharaj's question, that if somebody is not able to focus his attention on the form of the Lord, then what should be done? So basically the person, if he is not able to take dharana ashray, that means shelter of the dharana process on the specific object, then what needs to be done? And Shukadev Goswami is getting 2 steps prior. He is saying that he should start with the very basic do's and don'ts. What is that? One should control the sitting posture. So that is part of the asana, and regulate the breathing process. That is part of pranayam. And thus control the mind and the senses, and with intelligence apply the mind to the gross potencies of the Lord. So basically, one who is not able to control the enjoying spirit, he is advised by Shukadev Goswami to meditate upon the sthula rupa, sthule bhagavato rupe. That means the gross material form of the Lord. As such, Lord does not have any material form, but what he means is gross material form of the Lord, what materialist can appreciate, which is nothing but Virata Rupa, because it is easily perceivable by any ordinary person without any spiritual qualification. So that is the path recommended by Shukadev Goswami to a yogi who is still attached to material enjoyment. Virata Rupa meditation. Yes, Mataji, purport?
Yeah. The materially absorbed mind of the conditioned soul does not allow him to transcend the limit of the bodily conception of self. And thus, the yoga system for meditation, controlling the sitting posture and the breathing process, and fixing the mind upon the Supreme, is prescribed in order to mold the character of the gross materialist. Unless such materialists are able to cleanse the materially absorbed mind, it is impossible for them to concentrate upon thoughts of transcendence. And to do so, one may fix one's mind on the gross material or external feature of the Lord. The materialistic men are very anxious to have some mystic powers as a result of such a controlling process. But the real purpose of yogic regulations is to eradicate the accumulated dirty things like lust, anger, avarice, and all such material contaminations. Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes.
He is therefore recommended to fix his gross materialistic mind by a different conception and thus realize the potency of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you. So here we see how Shukadev Goswami is basically talking about a practitioner of the Ashtanga Yoga practice who still has got desires for enjoyment. Such a person should focus his mind on the sthula form, which is the Virata Rupa, the material form of the Lord. We proceed. Text 24, Gita Pradeep Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Visheshastasya dehoyam stavishtasva staviyasam
Savishtasviyasam
यत्रेदं व्यज्यते विश्वम्
Yatre
Vedam
Vyajyate
Vejyate
Vishwam
भूतं भव्यं भवच्च सत्
Bhutam Bhavyam
Bhavyam
Bhavachat.
Bhavachat.
1 second, Mataji, let me see what. Yeah. So from this verse onwards, Shukadev Goswami is basically beginning. Now, last verse he said that such a material enjoyment minded Ashtanga yogi should focus his meditation on Virata Rupa. How does he meditate on Virata Rupa? To facilitate that meditation, Shukadev Goswami is describing the description of Virata Rupa. How his different limbs look like, what do the various senses, including the eyes, nose, ears, and mouth of that Virata Rupa look like. That description is given by Shukadev Goswami from text 24 onwards. Translation, Mataji.
Translation. This gigantic manifestation of the phenomenal material world as a whole is the personal body of the Absolute Truth, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced.
Thank you. So here we see this description is quite matching with what description Bhagavad Gita mentions about the universal form. Like here it is mentioned, wherein the universal resultant past, present, and future of material time is experienced. And in Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, we also see a similar verse where Lord Krishna mentions to Arjun, "O Arjun, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in future." So past, present, and future, everything is included in universal form. And we also see similar description of universal form even in other scriptures like Purusha Sukta and so on and so forth. So all these characteristics of the universal form of the Lord across the scriptures, they are consistent, they are in sync with each other. And there is also a beautiful purport that will come later on in this chapter where Prabhupada says that even apparently to our material intelligence, we don't find something in proper sync, how we should understand. We will go to that particular purport as well. Mataji, continue with the highlighted part.
Yes, Prabhu. A pure devotee of the Lord, being unaccustomed to looking into such a mundane, gigantic form of the Lord, requires special vision for the purpose. The Lord therefore favored Arjuna with special vision for looking into his Virat Rupa, which is described in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for a devotee as well, this is not a norm that he is attracted to seeing the universal form. Even for him, the Lord would need to grant a very special vision, like Lord granted to Arjuna or Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu granted to Advaita Acharya. Basically, in front of Advaita Acharya, also Lord manifested the universal form based on the request prayer of Advaita Acharya. So even for such a pure devotee, Lord needs to grant proper suitable vision so that devotee can appreciate the universal form. The Virata Rupa.
The Virat Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist and a favor for the asuras, who can think of the Lord as a Virat and thus gradually cleanse the dirty things from their hearts in order to become qualified to actually see the transcendental form of the Lord in the near future. This is a favor of the all-merciful Lord to the atheist and the gross materialists. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So here we see answer to one more question by Parikshit Maharaj, which is how to deal with the contamination of the mind. How can one quickly remove the contaminations from mind due to rajas and tamas, which is by focusing one's mind. If one is at the stage of material enjoyment, focus one's mind on Virata Rupa. And although this is a form of imagination, this is an authorized form as per the scriptures. So that means such gross materialists, they would surely get benefited if they meditate on the universal form. Although it is material, but it has been authorized for meditation in scriptures like Bhagavatam or even Bhagavad Gita.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Divya Rukmini Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, that last part, the Virat Rupa manifestation of the Lord is simultaneously a challenge to the atheist. Okay, and a favor for the asuras. See, if you go to the Bhagavad Gita 11th chapter, there is before. Sorry, after showing the Virat Rupa, Bhagavan is saying Aveda Yajnadhayana Nadane Nachakriyabhir. The same sloga is repeating after he is showing the Chaturbuja form also. Naham Veder Natabasa Natane Nenache, like that same is explaining. Like for the Virat Rupa also, if we want to see the Virat Rupa also, these all things are not working. We have to be a good devotee. Am I right? That my understanding is right, Prabhu? Even to...
Yeah, so it will be clear in the subsequent verses how Virat Rupa, say for example, perceiving the mountains as various limbs of the Lord, perceiving the sun god, the sun and the moon as the eyes of the Lord. So all these objects, even a gross materialist, they may not be able to see the Lord, but everybody can see the hill, everybody can see the mountain, everybody can appreciate the sun and the moon. So this Virata Rupa conception is meant for these persons to remember the Lord. Oh, Krishna says that the sun and the moon are his eyes. So whenever I appreciate the beauty of the moon, I should remember Krishna. So all these material entities or objects are mentioned in relation to the Lord so that a materialist is also able to remember the Lord. So to answer your question, can a materialist appreciate the form of the Lord through these material elements? Yes, they can see these material elements, and through these elements, entities, he can remember the Lord. So that's why these descriptions are mentioned.
So for that materialistic people also, if they want to recognize something like that, they need some sort of knowledge, jnana, about the Lord, no?
They would need some sort of understanding of this universal form as per description in the scriptures.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. But basically that is the purpose for this description, so that they can't appreciate the form, at least appreciate this and remember the Lord.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, I see Prema Priya Jayashri Mataji had also. Mataji, did you recite any verse earlier? Prema Priya Mataji? If not,
no, Prabhuji, I have not recited.
Okay, then you can recite. Then we request other.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Andakoshe Shariresmin. Saptavarana Samyute.
Saptavarana Samyute.
Vairaja Purusho Yosau.
Vairaja Purusho Yosu.
Bhagavan Dharanashrayah.
Bhagavan Dharana Ashrayah.
Translation: the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is a subject for the Virata conception.
Thank you. Thank you. So here, one of the questions asked by Parikshit Maharaj, which is, what is the object of meditation, has been answered. That for a gross materialist or a yogi who still has got material enjoyment tendencies, Virata Rupa is the object of meditation. Dharanashrayaha. Dharanashraya means object of meditation. Yes, Mataji.
He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from him, he is still complete without any loss.
Yes. What is this verse, Srila Prabhupada?
Purnasya Purnamadaya Purna.
Yes, the invocation verse. You want to recite this verse, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, I'll read it. Om Purnam Adah Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Translation. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance.
Thank you. Thank you. So in the subsequent verses, we will find the various bodily limbs of the universal form are being described by Shukadev Goswami. So we'll quickly skim through some of these verses, because if we go one by one, we probably may not be able to cover the whole chapter today. But then I want to specifically focus on text 38, where Shukadev Goswami is basically concluding his description of the universal form in text 38, text 39 of this particular chapter. So we will request few devotees who have raised their hand. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can read the translation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Prabhuji, I just need to read translation.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Persons who have realized it have studied that the planets known as Patala constitute the bottoms of the feet of the Universal Lord, and the heels and the toes are the Rasatala planets. The ankles are the Mahatala planets, and his shanks constitute the Talatala planets.
Thank you, Mataji. So basically, in the last part of the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions how all the 7 higher planetary systems, including Om Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, so Bhur Loka, then Bhuvar Loka, Swarga Loka, Mahar Loka, Jana Loka, Tapaloka, and Brahma Loka or Satya Loka. So these are all 7 higher planetary systems, and similarly Atala, Sat, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, and Patala. These are the lower planetary systems. So specifically here, the lower planetary systems, including Patala, Rasatala, Mahatala, they are explained to be constituting various limbs of the body of the Lord, including the soles of his feet, including his ankles, and including his shanks. Hare Krishna. What does shank mean, Prabhuji, Mataji? Any? Oh, thighs. Shanks mean thighs. That's what I see here.
From knee to ankle, I think, Prabhuji.
Knee to ankle. Okay, okay, Mataji. Thank you. So all these lower planetary systems basically constitute the lower parts of his body. And we will quickly proceed. This you can read through at your leisure, Prabhuji's, Mataji's.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prem Prakash Haridas Prabhuji.
Shank means the part of the leg. There is a front part of the sword-like leg.
Okay.
Tibia.
Yeah. So based on the translation, here it is mentioned jange, which I understood as the thighs. But yes, the physicians you can mention accurately. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So we proceed.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, yes.
Prabhuji, I have a doubt. Prabhuji, we are told to meditate upon the feet of the Lord, and here it is said that the bottom of the feet constitute of Patala and the heels and toes of the Rasatala planet. So, Prabhuji, does that mean we are worshipping these as well?
No, this particular prescription by Shukadev Goswami is not for devotees who are the intended audience to practice this meditation. Those yogis who are still attached to materialistic enjoyment as per our flow chart. So since they are the target audience, this particular meditation is meant for them, not for devotees.
Okay, okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. For devotees, also description is there of various bodily limbs of the Lord, by personalities like Kapila Dev, which we will go through in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 27 and all, where Kapila Dev mentions very beautifully what is the benefit devotees can get if we meditate on a specific bodily limb of the Lord, including his lotus feet, including his ankles, knees, his waist, broad chest, arms, beautiful face, eyes, eyebrows, etc. Those portions we can recite or go through for our own prescription, but not this particular. Is that all right, Tarini?
Okay, okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Proceed. This you can go through. Yes. So this was the purport I was referring to, where basically in the translation, Shukadev Goswami mentions the sphere of outer space constitutes his eye pits, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport, does it seem a bit contradictory? Because in other parts of the scriptures, we have seen that Lord's eyes are basically the sun and the moon. Bhagavad Gita also mentions. So Srila Prabhupada writes a very important purport. He says, to common sense, the description in this verse appears to be somewhat contradictory, because sometimes the sun has been described as the eyeball and sometimes as the outer space sphere. Here, outer space sphere is mentioned as Krishna's eye pits. But there is no room for common sense in the injunctions of the Shastras. We must accept the description of the Shastras and concentrate more on the form of the Lord of Virata Rupa than on common sense. Common sense is always imperfect, and whereas the description in the Shastras is always perfect and complete. If there is any incongruity, it is due to our imperfection and not the Shastras. That is the method of approaching Vedic wisdom. So ultimate conclusion is the Shastras, they are spoken by a Paurusheya. They are Rachita means they have been given by somebody who is not an ordinary human, who is beyond superhuman, supreme personality of Godhead. So that's why the scriptures, whatever they mention, it has to be taken as a whole soul and not apply our tiny intelligence to see any contradictions. Like few days back, 2 weeks back, I was covering chapter 3 of Canto 1 for the Hindi Bhakti Vaibhav, and we discussed that Paribhasha Sutra, that Ete Chamsha Kala Pumsam Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam, and the commentary on that particular Paribhasha Sutra was by our Acharya, specifically Jiva Goswami, who describes that verse as a Paribhasha Sutra. And if any particular portion of any scripture is not matching with that Paribhasha Sutra, either that particular portion needs to be aligned to match the Paribhasha Sutra, or if we are not still able to appreciate it, then we can give that detail up and stick to the Paribhasha Sutra. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada explains that there are no contradictions in the scriptures. The contradictions exist mainly because of our inability to comprehend, to understand. And because our ability to understand is limited, sometimes we do foresee contradictions in different parts of the scriptures. But scriptures, because they have been constructed, they have been given by somebody who is a Paurusheya, who is not an ordinary person, they are always perfect. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada also gives the example of, anybody remembers, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, what is the example Prabhupada give to explain the point that scriptures are always perfect? Anybody recollects example? Don't worry about being right or wrong. You can try. Mahesh Prabhu?
Example of?
Example of how scriptures are always perfect. Mahesh Prabhu, you want to try?
Scriptures are like our mother, who indicate, who our real father is.
Yes, that is true. And also
Correct.
graphical example, Prabhupada. Yes,
Yeah.
Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhu, like the cow dung,
Yes,
we
cow.
consider it pure, but then in Vedas it is mentioned as pure. So even if something which is stool is impure in material sense, but then Vedas mention it as pure, so it is pure, and it has been scientifically also evidence has been given.
Yes, thank you very much. So Prabhupada mentioned this particular example that scientists have been able to find the antiseptic properties of the cow dung even only now. But that doesn't mean that cow dung is pure only now after those scientific findings. Vedas have been mentioning cow dung as pure from the very earlier on. And one more example he gives. What is the other example?
Conch shell, the
Correct.
bone.
Yes. So Prabhupada mentions typically if we touch a corpse, a dead corpse, then we are supposed to take bath. But conch shell, being the bone of an animal, it is the shell of the, what is that species called? Shell of the snail, right? So that particular bone is still considered pure, and not only it is considered pure, both cow dung as well as conch shell are allowed on the altar. Like altar can be cleansed using cow dung, that is a totally authentic method. Plus conch shell is allowed to be put on the altar and used as a paraphernalia in worship of the Lord. So although it is the bone and stool of an animal, it is still pure. That means Vedas are, they are beyond our normal discretion or common sense because they are given by the perfect person.
Even the theory of evolution by Darwin, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Mataji. So, yes, basically, the Vedic scriptures have specifically mentioned that the original first created being, Brahma, is the most advanced in this cosmic manifestation, material cosmos. But Darwin's theory mentions the theory of evolution, that humans' intellectual advancement or overall advancement, it came to be about gradually. But our ancestors, according to Darwin, they were very primitive and aborigines, but scriptures don't agree with that. Scriptures mention Brahma as the most intelligent. Hare Krishna. So we proceed. So this, you can go through the description of various limbs of Virata Rupa. We will directly proceed.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about emperor verse.
Emperor, yes, Paribhashaka.
Yeah. Is it only one emperor verse for the entire Bhagavatam, or each canto has an emperor verse?
It for the entire Bhagavatam, not just Bhagavatam, for the entire set of scriptures to establish Krishna's position.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. And I don't want to go too further, but in that same set of slides, in chapter 3 of Canto 1, that particular slide, I have also given reference to one particular verse from Canto 10, which describes Vishnu as the Supreme Lord. And then I explained to the devotees that apparently saying Lord Vishnu is mentioned as the source of all incarnations. But ultimately, when such discrepancy apparently to our small intelligence arises, we should compare it with the Emperor verse. Emperor verse mentions Krishna as the source of all incarnations, including the Purusha avatar forms, which are Lord Vishnu's. So that means we give precedence to the Emperor verse, Paribhashika Sutra.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So now we are almost in the concluding part. Let's conclude this in 5 minutes. Prema Priya Mataji, Hare Krishna, continue the purport.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. But first, monotheism is practically suggested here. Offering sacrifices to many demigods under different names is mentioned in the Vedic literatures. But the suggestion made in this verse is that all those varieties of demigods are included in the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are only the parts and parcels of the original whole. Similarly, the divisions of the orders of human society, namely the Brahmanas, the intelligent class, the Kshatriyas, the administrators, the Vaishyas, the mercantile community, and the Shudras, the laborer class, are all included in the body of the Supreme. As such, sacrifice by every one of them in terms of pleasing the Supreme by feasible goods is recommended.
By feasible, yes. And what is the relevant verse, Prabhuji's, Mataji's? That every activity of ours should be done as a sacrifice for Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. What is the relevant verse?
Hare Krishna.
Is it Yajnasthana?
Yeah. So yeah. So
Yat karoshi jasnasi.
That's not it.
yeah. So yagyarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. That each and every activity should be conducted as a sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And other verses are also relevant, like yagya
Karoshi, yad dashnashi, yad joshi, dadasi, yad tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva madarpanam.
Yes, thank you, Mandaji. So all these verses are relevant to show that each and every activity of ours should be performed as a sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And when it comes to the Devatas, specifically in chapter 7 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that even those worshippers of the Devatas, they are ultimately worshipping Krishna only. When they worship the Devatas, it is just that they are worshipping Krishna indirectly, avidhi purvakam, because they don't know the direct process of devotional service. So Krishna engages and encourages them to at least engage in that worship to him indirectly through the Devatas. And we had seen this story of the son of a the story of a prodigal son. All of us remember, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yes, Prabhuji.
We had discussed this story from Bible.
Yeah.
The story of a prodigal son. We proceed. So maybe I will request one or two more devotees. Rohini Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Highlighted part of the purport.
Less intelligent persons with poor fund of knowledge cannot accommodate the thought of this inconceivable potency of Lord Sri Krishna, by which he appears just like a human being. Bhagavad Gita 9.11. His appearance in the material world as one of us is also his causeless mercy upon the fallen souls. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, but by his unbounded mercy upon his pure devotees, he comes down and manifests himself as the personality of Godhead. Should I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, continue the highlighted part.
Okay. The transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of such materialistic activities. And it is very difficult to conceive that the Lord can be simultaneously localized and
Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, Mantaji. Yeah.
I will start again.
Yeah.
The transcendental form of the Lord is beyond the jurisdiction of such materialistic activities. And it is very difficult to conceive that the Lord can be simultaneously localized and all pervasive, because the materialistic philosophers and the scientists think of everything in terms of their own experience. Because they are unable to accept the personal feature of the Supreme Lord, the Lord is kind enough to demonstrate the Virat feature of his transcendental form. And herein, Srila Sukadeva Goswami has vividly described this form of the Lord.
Thank you, Mataji. So we see this particular theme of the kindness, mercy of the Supreme Lord on the materialistic people to understand him, both from the Lord's side as well as Shukadev Goswami's side. So Shukadev Goswami is also describing this particular form in great detail. And this is what first description of the universal form in this particular canto. And we will find at least 3 separate descriptions of the universal form of the Lord at various portions of this particular canto. So we are almost to the fag end. Hang on. Yes, so let us recite this particular verse. Who was remaining devotee? Devika Mataji, you had raised your hand. Am I correct? Devika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. No,
Hare-
Prabhu, but I can.
no?
Get.
Okay, okay.
Only translation, Prabhu?
You can recite the verse. This is the last verse, Mataji.
1 second. I have to open my Kannada. Prabhu, I don't know the tune. Is it okay?
Yeah, fine, Mataji. Anybody wants to suggest?
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhuji,
don't
can
mind.
can I?
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
This is the Sarvasya Cham meter, Prabhuji.
You can try.
सर्वदेव्रेते अनुभूत सर्व
सर्व
आत्म यथा स्वप्न जनैक्षितेकः तं सत्यमानन्दनिधिं भजेत नान्यत्र सज्जेत यत् आत्मपातः
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Devika Mataji, translation.
Yes. Translation. One should concentrate his mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who alone distributes himself in so many manifestations, just as ordinary persons create thousands of manifestations in dreams. One must concentrate the mind on him, the only all blissful absolute truth. Otherwise, one will be misled and will cause his own degradation.
Yes.
Yeah. Purport. In this verse, the process of devotional service is indicated by the great Goswami Srila Sukadeva. He tries to impress upon us that instead of diverting our attention to several branches of self-realization, we should concentrate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the supreme object of realization, worship, and devotion.
Thank you. Yeah, you can continue the highlighted part.
A yogi can attain miraculous success in material achievements such as anima and laghima, by which one can become more minute than the minutest or lighter than the lightest, or in the ordinary sense, one may achieve material benedictions in shape of wealth and women, but one is warned against such allurements because entanglement again in such illusory pleasure means degradation of the self and further imprisonment in the material world. By this warning, one should allow one's vigilant intelligence only. The conclusion, should I?
Yes, Mataji.
The conclusion is that one should unhesitatingly become a worshipper of Lord Krishna, or for that matter, is plenary expansion Narayana and none else.
Thank you. One more.
The example given in this verse very nicely is that of the dreaming man. The dreaming man creates many things in his dreams, and thus he himself becomes the entangled seed of the dream and is also affected by the consequences. This material creation is also exactly a dream-like creation of the Lord, but he, being the transcendental supersoul, is neither entangled nor affected by the reaction of such a dream-like creation. He is always in his transcendental position, but essentially he is everything and nothing is apart from him. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So here we see in the concluding part of this particular chapter, Shukadev Goswami is mentioning meditation on the all blissful form of the Lord. That means the personal form as the real object of meditation. And he's saying that in order to achieve the highest level of self-realization, one should meditate on that particular aspect of the Supreme Lord as the all blissful form. And while a yogi, while following the process of meditation, whatever Shukadev Goswami has mentioned in the earlier verses, which is mainly to facilitate the advancement of a yogi who is attached to materialistic enjoyment, he can attain as a result of this meditation, various mystic powers, including becoming lighter than the lightest or becoming heavier than the heaviest. And through all these mystic siddhis can even achieve mystic powers, like we saw the example of Indra using his mystic powers for wrong reasons to enjoy the wife of Gautama Rishi. But ultimately, such types of material enjoyment will cause degradation of such a person, and he will continue to remain in this material world for very, very long. So this is a warning. One should be very careful not to be drawn by the attraction of such illusory pleasure in the form of mystic siddhis. Now, while concluding the discussion today, do we recollect example of any devotees, Prabhujis, Matajis, who was offered various mystic siddhis by the Lord and he refused to accept those mystic siddhis? And in fact,
Dhruva Maharaj.
Dhruva Maharaj, what was offered to him, Mahesh Prabhu?
Material, he was offered to be the king.
Yes.
To rule the world. I mean, to
correct.
rule.
Correct. So he was offered a very high state of material achievement in the form of a kingdom, which is greater than even his great grandfather. Like Dhruva Maharaj's father is Uttanapad. Uttanapad Maharaj's father is Swayambhuva Manu, and Swayambhuva Manu's father is Lord Brahma. So he was offered a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma himself, but Dhruva Maharaj refused. Okay. There is one more example of a devotee who was specifically offered mystic perfections, like this what we are seeing, Anima, Laghima, and all that. Any devotee we can recollect and who refused?
Shri Hanumanji. Hanumanji.
I'm just thinking which particular context or
when he is crossing the that river, he showed that Sarasu, Suras, some ocean. Sarayu had swallowed him, and he come out of some of the pores of that.
Yeah. So that particular episode is where Hanumanji used those mystic siddhis to serve Lord Ramachandra. That how he became very small, entered the mouth of that Rakshasi and came out. But we are saying that which particular episode Lord offered these mystic powers to a devotee and he refused. He refused to accept that allurement. Any clue? Should I give any clue? Murli Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you have raised your hand.
Even for Prahlad Maharaj, he offered, but I don't know what. Anima, Garima. I don't know what.
Okay, I'm trying to recollect.
I was thinking of Prahlad Maharaj.
I'm just thinking. Hang on now.
You're feeble, Prabhuji. Can't hear
Prabhuji, we're not able to hear you clearly, Prabhuji.
Oh, sorry. Is it better now, Mataji?
Yes, better, yeah.
Oh, okay. So to Prahlad Maharaj, Narsingadev offered him, basically begged him to ask a material benediction, and Prahlad Maharaj refused. Finally, Narsingadev asked him to ask him something for his pleasure. His means Narsingadev's pleasure. And finally, Prahlad Maharaj asked for Hiranyakashipu. He asked for pardon for Hiranyakashipu. But Narsingadev did not. Of course, he offered him anything he wanted to ask, but he didn't ask. Specifically, there is an example where Krishna offered 8 mystic siddhis.
This is his friend,
his friend?
From his school.
Sudama.
Okay. So Sudama, basically, he was not desirous. His wife was desirous, and Krishna offered him the material opulence and all. Okay. So, let me mention the name. In Mahaprakash Leela, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he called his dear devotee, Sridhar Kolavich, basically, he did offer him that, do you want the position of Brahma? Do you want all the mystic siddhis? And Sridhar Kolavich basically lovingly chastised the Lord. He said, Lord, please don't try to baffle me or allure me with all these material allurements in the form of mystic siddhis and all that. If at all you want to offer me something, then may that vision of Nimai coming to my shop and haggle with me on a daily basis for getting the banana leaf, fruits, and products at a further discount. Let that memory always remain in my remembrance. That is the benediction what Sridhar Kolavich asked. But Lord Chaitanya did offer him mystic benediction. Do you want Sridhar as a result of your practice? Okay, so all other examples are definitely relevant where like Prahlad Maharaj, Narsingadev did offer him any material boon or benediction that he may want to ask. But such great devotees, they refused to ask anything such. So we'll conclude here. Prabhuji's, Mataji's, sorry for going 10 minutes, 13 minutes overboard. Is there any final question, query, concern? Let me just...
Prabhuji, I have a concern and I need your guidance.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu, ultimately, the final, the bottom line is, Prabhu, so long as my devotional service is truthful and correct, then these extreme nitty-gritties and technicalities, as you call it, they are good enough only for teaching purposes, Prabhu, those who are teaching, and for people like me who are not into teaching, a good knowledge of all these basics is good enough.
Yes.
Is it correct?
Yes, Prabhuji, it is very correct. And in fact, there are statements by various great personalities like, and no dearth of references here. One of Srila Prabhupada's very senior disciples, His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, he says that to achieve perfection, we don't need to know a lot. He says even if one knows one verse of Bhagavatam, but importantly, he knows to that extent that he brings that verse into his or her practice, that one verse can also take us to perfection. So definitely we don't need to know so many nitty-gritties, technicalities. But having said that, because it has been presented by Acharyas like Shukadev Goswami and subsequently Srila Prabhupada, we do employ our intelligence to the best of our capacity to try and understand. But even despite that, we are still not able to get it 100%. That endeavor itself is glorious. That
Prabhu, I am with you. I am saying that all I am saying is the knowledge good enough, or we need to be expert in this area, knowing the nitty-gritties.
We don't need to be expert. Yes, Prabhuji. As long as we get the essence of
basic knowledge is fine, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
And Prabhu, if you are planning for exam, at least for this particular chapter, give us 2 weeks.
Sure, Prabhuji. And one thing I can assure to relieve all of you, that definitely the description of Virata Rupa, starting text 21st, 22nd onwards till text 37, we won't be going into the nitty-gritties of that as far as questions are concerned. So of course, I still want you to read it thoroughly, to read the purports, but read it for our own purification. But don't be too bothered whether I remember everything and whether there can be a question in exam testing what particular limb of Virata Rupa is so and so. So definitely we won't be going into the details of that. Is that all right, Prabhuji's, Mataji's?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. I'm grateful, Prabhu. And if you give us 2 weeks for this particular chapter.
Sure, Prabhuji. That is fine. We will give that time. So
can't hear you, Prabhuji, properly.
Okay, so I mentioned that as far as the unit test on this chapter is concerned, don't be too bogged down by the description of the Virata Rupa. Specifically, we won't be going into the details for Virata Rupa description and the limbs as far as the unit test is concerned. Okay?
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you leave aside these verses. Don't do that. Still read it, study it for our own purification.
Yes,
okay?
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
When is the text test, Prabhuji? Next
We will
text.
announce during the week through Rasarangini Mataji. I will announce.
Okay. Thank you.
At least give us 2 weeks.
Yeah. So yes, it won't be just next week, at least we will try for next to next weekend if that is all right. But let me confirm. Okay. Next
Yeah,
to
thank you very much.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much. So if there is no other question, Prabhuji's, Mataji's, we will conclude now and you can study. If there is any further question, we can cover it at the beginning of next session. Let me just try and read out that question if it is easily possible to cover now. If not, we cover next time. Shama Gopika Mataji's question. Yeah, so Mataji's question was, is it that only the yogis perform Ashtanga Yoga or devotees also perform Ashtanga Yoga and meditate on the form of the Lord? So the answer to this question is some part of the Ashtanga Yoga practice. They are quite relevant to progress in pure devotional service as well. Specifically, if we go back to the slides, the last of the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga, which is Samadhi. Of course, devotees don't do it as a Ashtanga Yogi does, which is the, hang on, let me open, which is the gradual progress in meditation, ultimately coming to the personal form of the Lord. But a devotee in his meditation on the Supreme Lord in his personal form is always in Samadhi, as per Bhagavad Gita, as per Srimad Bhagavatam. So devotees don't practice these 8 limbs as a specific to-do item for Ashtanga Yoga, but some of these limbs are definitely helpful as practice of Bhakti Yoga itself, including, say, for example, Yama and Niyama, the do's and the don'ts, they are applicable even to us. The Pratyahara, withdrawing the mind from those things which cause us distraction in our devotional service, even that is applicable to Bhakti Yogis as well. So these limbs automatically form the part of our sadhana practice for a Bhakti Yogi as well, even if we don't necessarily practice these limbs to achieve what Ashtanga Yogi plans to achieve. Is that all right, Shama Gopika Mataji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Okay.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. And any further detail, Mataji, if you have any subsequent question, we can most certainly discuss in our next setting. Okay?
Okay, sure.
Hare
Yeah.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vamcha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.